Video walkthrough on Heartland Mallard M32. We'll start in the back. An outdoor shower. I call it a shower. Most people won't really be doing any showering out here. But you do have hot and cold, which is nice. City water connection. That's where you're going to hook your hose up to run everything off of city water pressure. You won't need to use your pump if that were the case. And then you do have a cable inlet. So if you're going somewhere that provides cable, you can hook up cable through there. Rack for a grill. Unpin that. Fold it out. You hook your grill onto there, and then there's a propane quick disconnect underneath there if you need to get access to that. Come over here. Bumper cap that comes off. That's gonna be the perfect spot to store your sewer hose. Does not come with a sewer hose. That will have to be something you purchase separately. Short cord. Zero short cord. It'll be with a unit. This is 50 amp. It's about 25, 30 feet long. Some of them even 35. And right below that is where you're going to dump everything, all your tanks and whatnot. So the one on your left is your gray tank. The one on your right is your black tank. It's even labeled here gray water, wastewater. Definitely recommend making sure those handles are closed before you take the cap off. And then I always do my black tank first, so the right handle first. Let that get all the way dumped, and then I do the gray tank. That gray water will flush out the black water, so when you pick up to move your sewer hose, it's not dripping in poopy water. Slide seals, every once in a while I just go and inspect them. Make sure they're not dry or cracked or anything like that. Once a year I recommend getting done what's called a slide out maintenance. Keep the seals conditioned. You can buy the materials at any Camping World store, or pay or go and have that service done at the service department. Coming through here, got big old pass-through storage. That big box right there, that's your grill. The grill I was talking about that goes in the back, so that's in the box. That has everything you need in there. You have some 2 crank handles. The skinny end handle is a manual backup for your stabilizers that goes on the other side, and then the big end, which is a 3/4 inch socket on the other end of it, is a manual backup for your tongue jack. If you needed to get those and power were to fail, you needed to get them up, that's what they're there for. Lots of good information here. Tire pressure, 80 psi. So they're checked too. That's what you should check them before every trip. Just make sure they're at 80 psi. You got your cargo can capacity is 1,166 pounds. Your VIN's on here. That's an important number too. So lots of good information here. As far as tire pressure though, go off of this number, not what's printed on the tire. Up into here, you have a light switch. The black one does LEDs on the front. And the other one is just a light so you can see in your compartment when you're accessing anything you need to in there. Over here, you're pre-wired for solar. You'd have to buy the Furion brand solar charger that just plugs into there. It's already hooked to the battery. So you could buy a little solar panel that you maybe set on your propane tank or on a table on the side, and that'll trickle charge your battery using solar power. Your battery, I recommend taking it out in the winter. The winter is pretty harsh on these batteries. Come spring, if you left it out, you probably will need a new battery. So taking it out, having it inside, it's definitely helped prevent it from getting ruined during the cold. If you can, take it inside, put it on a trickle charger. If it's going to be a long time between trips during the regular camping season, I recommend using your battery disconnect right here. So right now, when you see this knob, when this part is parallel with the frame, you can even see there's this green showing you your battery is connected. When it's the other way around, when it's like that, the battery is disconnected. If you don't have the ability to plug your camper in when you store it during the season, the regular camping season, disconnect your battery, keep anything from draining it. If you do have the ability to plug this camper in when you're at storage, or let's say you are at a permanent site and you just leave it plugged in all the time, leave your battery connected. Because if you disconnect it when it's plugged in, the charge won't get to the battery. The battery does charge when the camper is plugged in. Dual 20-pound cylinders, all filled. So, get your automatic changeover regulator here. You can see it says supply. It's pointing over here. It's going to pull from this tank first. When this one empties, and let's say you would have both of these tanks on, so if both tanks were on, and this one were to empty, this will automatically switch to pulling from this tank. However, when it does this automatic switch, automatic changeover, this doesn't rotate. So you can select which one it starts from. But when it switches over, it doesn't rotate. There's nothing out here that indicates that it does switch over. So keep that in the back of your mind. My best suggestion is have one on, leave the other one off. When you notice the propane is going down, you're running out of propane, you have to come out here, turn the one you were using off, turn your new one on, and then manually move this over. Doing all that extra work, doing that by yourself manually, is going to help you remember that, hey, this propane tank is out of propane, I need to go get it filled. Because it could automatically switch over to this tank. Let's say it was still pointing here, it switched over to this tank. You come out here to check, you go, oh, I'm all good, I got propane. But really, you're halfway done with this one. Next thing you know, you're out of propane. So keep that in mind. That's just some tips from me. 7-way down here. That'll get plugged to the back of your tow vehicle, truck, SUV, whatever you're towing this with. It'll allow the trailer lights and brakes to work. Chains, when you hook up, you're going to cross them. So this chain is on the driver's side of the camper. Like right here, you're going to hook it up to the passenger side of your truck. And you're going to cross them. That'll create a cradle in case anything were to come undone. That'll catch it. Then you also get hooked up with your truck too. Breakaway, that's hooked to this box right here. It'll pull that pin out of there. In case the trailer comes undone, it'll pull the pin out, activate the brakes on the trailer. Power tongue jack with a LED light up front, and then it's power. It beats hand cranking them every day of the week. Pull up this rubber gasket thing. Rubber plug, I guess. You get access to what looks like a 3/4 inch nut. That's a manual backup for that one crank. Stick that in there. You can manually raise and lower this if you were to lose power or the jack were to fail and you needed to get unhooked or rehooked to your truck. It's perfect for that. And it is nice that they give you a little spot to hang them up in right there. Another light in here. These are your switches for your stabilizers so they can get covered, put away. It's nice. Some of them have them on the outside. I like them when they're on the inside like this. This top switch will do the front ones. And then if you see that thing spinning on the end, that's where you put your manual backup crank if it were to fail. If these jacks were to lose power or fail for any reason. These are not leveling jacks. These are stabilizing jacks. Do not try to use these to pick up the weight of the trailer. You could amp them out. You could ruin the motor. You could bend them. There's a self-resetting breaker in there, so that should help prevent anything from getting overamped and overextended. Just like that. So you do the front ones and then the rear ones. The bottom ones control the rear ones. And that's just going to get all the shake out of the camper. Get all shake and shimmy out of everything. Won't feel like a boat. If you want your trailer to be level front to back, you can use your tongue jack. That's meant to pick up the weight of the trailer. Use that to raise and lower front to back to get it level front to back. If you're really picky, you're really worried about side to side, as you back it into your sight, blocks under your tires on the low side to get it level side to side. Then you again snug these jacks down to the ground, front and back. That'll help get all the shake out of everything. If your sight is on like loose sand, loose gravel, loose dirt, I recommend blocks underneath those. Even though the pads are about 4x4, they'll still sink in the loose dirt and grass and whatnot. On over here, your water heater. It's very simple to use. It's all set up for you guys to use it. The only thing you'll have to do is put your drain plug in. 15/16 is the socket size for this. I use a short socket with an extension and a ratcheting wrench so I can get through all of this because this needs to go in here. They do make a tool you can purchase that works for that as well. It's more like a regular wrench and you have to put it in here like this. I don't like it because I always hit my knuckles on everything here. But that's just personal preference. This is a plastic plug, so you want to get it started by hand. It threads into here. Get a couple threads started by hand. Snug it down the rest of the way. Then, as soon as you hook up water, whether it be from your city water in the back or your fresh water using your pump, which we'll explain in a minute, it'll start filling up. Then all your controls to turn it on or off are on the inside. Definitely recommend draining it after every trip, just so you don't forget and it doesn't sit with water full for a couple weeks. It'll start to get stagnant if it sits full of water for a couple of weeks. So I always recommend draining it after every trip to keep that water from staying in there, keeping it from getting it stagnant. So to drain it, you do pull your plug out to drain it, but before you do that, you want to shut off any source of water. So if your pump's on, turn that off. If you're hooked to city, turn that off. Then you're going to relieve your pressure. You're going to crack your pressure reliever like that. Water's going to squirt out. That's fine. Everything out here is designed to get wet. Once it stops squirting out, snap it closed. You do want to make sure you snap it closed. That's what allows it to have a good seal. And then you can pull this plug out. If you neglect to relieve the pressure here, and you go to pull the plug out, that's where the pressure's coming out. You're gonna get a hot bath. You may even lose that plug from it shooting across. So please relieve your pressure first. As far as that, just basic maintenance. Clean in here, clean in here. Make sure it's clean. You can use compressed air to blow this out. Just keep in mind whenever you blow in through here, it's coming out here. Up over here is an exhaust vent for your fan on your range hood. You just pop that open when you're using it and then snap it closed when you're not. Here is where you fill your onboard fresh tank. So this is onboard storage of water. If you're going somewhere that didn't have water, you can fill this up at home. Do not pressurize this when you fill it. Rest your hose in there. Don't jam it in there, because if you jam your hose in there, it gets stuck and there's no way for pressure to escape. Now you're pressurizing your tank, so you don't want that. Monitor its progress on the monitoring panel, which again we'll show you when we go on the side, to tell when it's full. Don't wait till your water gush out. Just like your water heater, recommend draining it after every trip. Your drain for it is right there. Outdoor power, GFCI protected. All your GFCIs are in the same circuit. If one will trip, they'll all trip. When we go inside, I'll show you how to reset it. Exhaust for your fridge, or a vent intake. Exhaust is on the roof just for airflow for your fridge. Just keep it clean. Make sure it's not clogged up or anything like this. Make sure this isn't clogged up. This is a drain for condensation. You can push this in there, make it a little shorter if you want. Same thing with your furnace. This does get hot. Just keep it clean. They make a screen you can put on those to keep the debris from in there. This you wouldn't want to use compressed air to clean, because you'll just blow it further in there and then it's going to make the problem worse. Right over here, you have a black tank flush. So when you're dumping your black tank, you can bring a hose up to here, hook it up to here. There's a nozzle built into the tank with a sprayer on it. That'll kind of help flush everything out, help spray it out, help keep it from building a smell. I recommend using that every time you dump your black tank. Outdoor kitchen area, the mini fridge. Works like a regular mini fridge. Camper's not plugged in, mini fridge won't work. Another GFCI protected outlet and a cable outlet here, so if you wanted to have a TV outside, you could. And then you do have a nice little sink out here with hot and cold water, as well as a light in here, which is nice. Good amount of storage here too. And then a slide out countertop. Get you extra area. It is not intended for cooking surfaces. Right there, maximum weight 50 pounds. But it is definitely really nice to have an area outside to maybe prep food or use as a mini bar. You know, that'd be nice. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for the outside. A few things about these steps: they're really easy to put in and out. You just lift up, push them in and out. The tip I like to tell people though is the legs are adjustable. You have these pins here. Just pull the pins, legs slide up and down. There's holes on the side of it, you can see. If you adjust them too high, you want to watch out, because if the steps are too high, the door could catch right here. So just make sure that it's kind of tight with the sill here, and that the door won't hit here if you had to adjust them. We'll come on into the inside. Switches here, one on the left, awning LEDs, nice blue LEDs. One on the right, interior lights. Have your controls for your awning, both out and in here. It does not stop automatically. You'll have to stop it when it goes all the way out. Also, if you just hold extend too long, eventually it'll roll in. It'll roll the fabric the wrong way around the tube. Controls for your main slide out. Your other controls over there. And then here's your resetting GFCI. So if any GFCI would have tripped, this is the one you're going to hit reset on. Over here, you have a switch. This is pre-wired for a wine guard. Wi-Fi extender doesn't have it. It's just pre-wired for it. If you do opt to get one, keep in mind, it extends your Wi-Fi. It does not give you Wi-Fi. The only way you can get your Wi-Fi, your wine guard Wi-Fi extender to give you Wi-Fi is if you pay either wine guard a monthly fee or you get your phone plan. It has to get a SIM card put in it. Then you're going to pay a monthly fee to have basically 4G in here. Light switch here. Bedroom lights. And then there is a switch over there next to that outlet, which do decorative LEDs in there. Plenty of storage in the bedroom, and there's also storage up underneath your bed as well. Underneath there, then you can lift this panel up and get underneath it as well. Both doors, bedroom doors, you unhook that and they slide. Keep in mind, though, when you travel, please do retain them in this position as to not cause any damage or anything like that. Spot for TV here, which is nice. Once you have both bedroom doors open, or closed rather, I guess, you can unpin this and this whole TV will swivel around, and then you can have access to it from in the bedroom. Run all your cables through here, run this through here up under the TV. That goes from your radio. Your radio is also a standard definition DVD player. Radio is super simple to use. Tap the power button. Volume here. Play pause, stop, previous channel, next channel, rewind, fast forward. Bluetooth mode selection. You have different zones. So zone 1's inside. You can turn the inside speakers off. Zone 2 is outside. You can turn the outside speakers off. So you can have them both on. You can have them both off. It doesn't really matter. Presets. Push and hold to save a preset. When you do use that battery disconnect and disconnect your battery, it does reset all your presets, so keep that in mind. Auxiliary cord, headphone jack, USB. USB does not interface with the radio. It'll just allow you to charge your phone. You do have a remote here too, which will act as the DVD player portion of, which will act as the remote for the DVD player portion of it, as well as the remote for the radio. The only thing you can't do off this remote is change the zones. Spot to plug in your TV. If you do plug in your TV, when you use cable, a cable, make sure that's off. If you're running the antenna, make sure that's on. It has a built-in antenna. It's a fixed digital antenna. It's on the roof. There's no cranking up or anything you guys have to do. Couch here turns into bed. Kind of difficult to explain, especially one-handed while filming. But all you'd have to do, remove these cushions, set them aside. I usually put them on the kitchen table because at night you're not going to be using your kitchen. Lift this up. It'll lift up. Pull out. It'll kind of do like a V, upside down V. There's legs you unfold. It rests on the thing. And then this back part will fold down to fill in the gap. Dinette turns into a table as well, or bed as well. Lift it up. Pop them legs off. Rest the table on these little shelves. Then play puzzle with the cushions to fill in the gap. Microwave works like a standard household microwave. If you're not plugged in, it's not going to work. Give her a light and a fan here. Keep in mind, you got to have that flap open for that fan to vent anywhere. Nice fold-up glass top. So that kind of gives you a little bit more counter space when it's down. When it folds up, it'll act as a secondary backsplash. Very easy to use. Turn these to flame. Twist your sparker. They'll light right up. The gas is off right now. And make sure we turn the gas off before you guys receive this. So it's not going to light right now, but very easy. Turn to high, twist the sparker, light right up. Oven's a little bit different. You turn that to this flame, push and hold. As you're pushing and holding, you're going to twist your sparker. As you're twisting your sparker, you're looking for right down in there. You can kind of see it. I'll even twist the sparker so you see what you're looking for. Looking for that pilot to get lit. Once the pilot is lit, you can then turn this to your desired temperature. Got a light for the oven knobs, or the stove knobs rather, and it also does your oven light as well. Neat feature about this fridge right here is all this black material is a chalkboard, which is really nice. Good for the kids. Fridge is very easy to use. You have on or off, auto, or gas. I recommend running on auto. Auto is going to default to 110, so if you're plugged in, that's what it's going to use. But if someone would accidentally unplug you, campground would lose power anyway, this is going to automatically switch to operating off of propane to save your food from getting spoiled. However, whether you're running on gas or electric, this does take about 6 to 8 hours to get to operating temperature. So keep that in mind, plan your trip accordingly. Thermostat, very simple to use. Tap it, it's going to ask what mode you want. Auto, high, low. I recommend auto, just like your fridge. If it's got an auto function, I always recommend using it. Auto on your AC is going to allow the compressor on your AC to cycle on and off to help regulate whatever temperature you have it set at to keep it from overworking. If you're just running on high, let's say you had it on high and you had it set to 55, it wants to be more realistic. 60, once it reaches 60, it'll continue to run, and it'll run until it freezes up. Then you have to wait for it to thaw to use it again. That's why I recommend auto. So what auto will do is once it hits 60 degrees, the compressor will cycle off. And then as it warms up here, and again, it'll cycle back on. It'll keep it from freezing up. Tap mode again, you get the furnace. Furnace goes to 90. AC goes all the way down to 55. Last little bit about these, they can be a little finicky sometimes if you hit, well, not every time you hit up and down at the same time and switch to Celsius, but sometimes you unintentionally hit up and down. So if you're ever fiddling with it and you know, oh, when you go start freaking out, oh, it says 32, how did it get that low? No, you just switch it to Celsius, hit up and down, it goes right back to Fahrenheit. Tap it again to turn it off. Right over here, breaker box. All your breakers for all your 110 volt appliances. Then all your fuses for your 12 volt appliances. I recommend carrying some spare fuses with you just in case. Right below that is a carbon monoxide and LP propane gas alarm. That's hardwired to a 12 volt system, so there's no batteries you have to worry about changing. You do have a smoke alarm. That's a 9 volt battery, just like a standard smoke alarm is. Coming in here to the right, light switch. Right above that, your monitoring panel. You can read battery voltage, how full the fresh is. We fill it with water, so we gotta make sure we drain that. Just we test everything, you know. Black and then gray. You have controls for your water heater on propane, and then your water heater on electric, and then your water pump. So if you are going to pull water from your fresh tank, you need to turn your water pump on. If you're hooked to city, you don't need that on. You can run propane and electric at the same time. I usually do, and then once it's starting to get warm, I turn off gas and I just leave it on electric. If you are going to run electric, make sure there's water in it. Toilet, as long as you're pushing this pedal, it'll continue to flush. So theoretically, I could stand here for 20 minutes and it'll keep flushing. Sink, very basic sink. Shower, just this basic. Lift up here after you've turned it on. It'll divert water to your shower head. You do have a fan in here with the one like that. With a switch for your fan. Always recommend running your fan if you're taking hot showers. Come back here, slit switch for your slide out back here, light switch for the lights back here. Very basic. This does fold up, and then you can use those to lock it in. When you're traveling up or down, doesn't matter. Spot for a TV in here if the kids wanted a TV. Another cable outlet with a power outlet. And then plenty of storage throughout here. Last little bit back here. This is pre-wired for second AC. It would be a non-ducted AC. The controls for the knobs would be on the actual AC. It won't have a thermostat. And then the airflow would come out the actual AC. It wouldn't be ducted into these. Sometimes there's when they build this, there's spots for ductwork, but usually it'll be a non-ducted AC that gets installed in here. All right. Well, that concludes our video walk of your Mallard M32. Hope you found the walk informative. I hope you learned something. Hope you guys enjoy using this camper. I like these Mallard bunkhouses a lot, so I sure hope you do. Until next time, goodbye.